Hi guys, I'm in here from AT Sports. Today we're just going to be doing a bit of a stock review of the IK series. We had a brief look at them in the unboxing for them when the stock arrived, I think last week. But yeah, today we'll just do a bit more of a sort of, maybe a bit more in-depth sort of look of them. But yeah, we'll start off with the IK Extreme. Pretty nice, even clean grains. Bit of a sort of marbling up here, and then hardwood on the right hand is inside edge. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fairly even and clean grains, barring that sort of little marbling over there. And yeah, in terms of profile, we've got quite kind of mid-middle. With the spine sort of rounding off into the toe. And yeah, and then as well, like a really full profile. I don't think there's any concaving, if at all. And then sort of like a medium thick round handle. And the weight as well was 210.9. And in terms of pickup, I feel it picks up about maybe 2.9.5, 2.10ish in terms of pickup. But yeah, let's move on to we'll check the gauge first. So yeah, in terms of maximizing the gauge, it's probably about 2 or 3 mil. Probably about 3 mil difference between this and then the maximum what the gauge can go. So yeah, about a 62 mil spine, and then about a 38 mil edge as well. But yeah, so yeah, pretty big profile. Pretty standard size for that weight these days as well. But yeah, most importantly, how does it perform? It feels really nice and sweet. And that's due to it having a very full profile and minimal concaving. Which means even if it's off center a bit, it still feels and responds quite nicely. But yeah, we'll check the new ball, sorry. Yeah, so yeah, I would say from about here to about here is where you're getting the best sort of performance on this one. But then again, even wide, like about up to maybe even around about this whole zone here would be the hitting area for this particular one. But yeah, that was IK Extreme number 1. On to the second one. This one seems to have a factory fitted cover on it, face sheet. But other than that, we've got, in terms of grains, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fairly straight and even, and again, a bit of sort of wobble or marbling up here. But other than that, it's fairly straight and even, and fairly clean as well. And again, same profile as the one before, with the mid-middle. I think the edges might be a bit thicker on this one, but again, good thing about SG is these days they're sort of preferring to go the full profile rather than concaving their bats, which for me personally is the way to go, because it just widens the hitting area a lot more compared to concaving. So it's a lot more forgiving if, say, if you hit a shot off center. But yeah. Yeah, the weight on this one is 210.7, but this one picks up lighter than the other one. I feel like it picks up like a 2.9. Yeah, I think that's due to one, the handle thickness is a medium thickness, and on top of that they've got like a fairly thick, well, not like a super thick grip, but it's not thin either. So yeah, it's a decent sort of thickness on the grip itself, so that all sort of helps with the pickup. But yeah, let's move on to the gauge first, actually. So again, maybe about 3 mil difference, about 38 mil edge, and then about 62 spine. Yeah, so sacrificing maybe 2 or 3, sacrificing about 3 mil edges and spine, but to keep that full profile, which means you'll get a very forgiving sweet spot. And a wider sweet spot as well, compared to if it was concaved and then they kept it at the max, which I think this is the way to go, especially if you sort of more or less, like most of us aren't professionals, so we're not gonna middle every single ball that comes our way, even the professionals don't. So you need that extra sort of assurance, so if it comes off the left or right hand, left or right of the middle, the face of the bat, then you're still getting a good amount of response to clear the fielders. But yeah, let's move on to let's start with the old one. Very similar to the first one. Yeah, I feel the first one sort of performed better. This one's still almost as good, but probably not as good. I think that's probably due. Yeah, I'm not sure actually. Yeah. Move on to the new one. It's still pretty good, not as good as the first one, but still very, very good. Yeah, that was IK Extreme number 2. Here's the last IK Extreme we have at the time, for the time being. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 grains. I think it's 9 grains. And then we've got a bit of marbling and a couple of specks down here. But yeah, but I think this one is the biggest of the lot. And again, very, very full profile. Yeah. This one is 210.2 on the scales. Probably picks up. I feel like number 2 picked up the lightest, and this one is probably about the second lightest in terms of pickup. Yeah, onto the gauge. Yeah, again, probably about a 38 mil edge, and then about 61 mil spine. Yeah, but it's still very, very full profile. You get that one sweet spot. On to the performance. Feels very crispy, very crisp. feels probably the hardest of the three. But in terms of performance, I think it matches the first one. But then with good knocking in, I think it's going to get even better. Yeah. So yeah, with the new. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, in terms of performance, it's a bit hard. It's probably feels the hardest compared to of the three. But even once it's knocked in, it'll probably, with proper knocking in, it'll open up and be even better than I think the first one. So yeah, in terms of performance, I would go number 1, 3, and then 2 as the best in that lot. But that was the IK Extremes, and now we'll go on to the IK Ultimates, which is the higher grade. But yeah, this one's got a lovely grains, like very straight, even. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but very straight and very even, and very clean willow as well. Yeah, big edges, slightly higher spine, but overall pretty much the same profile as the first ones. And this one has a 211 weight, but yeah, it actually picks up a lot lighter than 211. I feel it picks up more like 210. It's got that medium thick round handle as well. Yeah, definitely doesn't feel like 211. Yeah, onto the gauge. Yeah, this one about 39mm edge, and then about 64mm spine. So pretty close to maximizing it out. Very, very close. Yeah. And then onto the performance. This one feels nice. This one feels really nice. Feels like it's been pressed optimally to the new. Yeah, this one feels awesome performance-wise. Yeah, probably the best performing one of the lot so far. And then the second IK Ultimate. So yeah, again we got really nice, clean, straight, even grains. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight and even grains. Very, very clean as well. Again, this one is 29.4 on the scales. And again, they got that same profile as all the other IKs. Very full, no concaving. Probably not as thick as the other IK Ultimate, but that's partly due to it being 2 ounces lighter as well. So yeah, the wood's got to come out of somewhere. But yeah, let's check the gauge. See what we got. Yeah, probably about a 61mm spine, about 38. Again, probably about a 38mm edge. So yeah, bit flatter spine, but yeah, it's all in the effort to keep the what do you call it? The full profile. So yeah, onto the performance. But yeah, onto the performance. Again, really, really nice. Again, really nice. Yeah, onto the new one. Yeah, just as good as the first one in terms of performance. So yeah, we're hard to sort of separate those ones. Just sort of depends on what your weight preference is, I guess. But even then, the 211 one picks up, not 211, definitely picks up lighter than 211. Yeah, so overall, I think they're all probably similar-ish profiles. Yeah, like about 38 mil edges on most of them, and then yeah, about 61, from 61 to about 63, 64 mil spine. So yeah, pretty close to maximizing the gauge, but not quite. But in terms of performance, they're up there with mostly anything. But yeah, and then I think that's what's with SG at the moment. They're sort of pressing their bats really well, and I think most of them come in around about the same sort of dimensions. But because they're pressing them so well, the performance is probably some of the best at the moment. So yeah, that was the IK Extremes, or IK Extremes and IK Ultimates, so the IK series that we have in stock at the moment. If you want to buy any particular one of these, just message us or get in contact and say, okay, I want IK number 1 or number 2, and then we'll get that exact one out to you. So yeah, but anyways, that was it for today. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys.